This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
Now, it was an ambitious travel project that we are told is a smarter and speedier choice. But while new figures reveal more people are using Cambridge's guided busway, there's disappointment as the number of journeys being made. It's claimed only roughly half the trips of what was originally promised are actually taking place. The County Council says it's because the opening was delayed from 2006 to 2011. But other claims it's just not delivering. One of them is Edward Leigh, the leader of Cambridge Smarter Transport, who joins me on the line now. Hello, Edward.
Hi, good afternoon.
So these figures, and obviously the fact that the County Council is saying it's because the busway started later, what's your reaction to all that?
Well, I mean, there are mitigating factors, including the fact that Northstowe has been built late, but this doesn't account for all of the shortfall. I mean, even discounting Northstowe, you would end up with about 17,000 trips a day. Against the original forecast of just over 20,000, and we're just exceeding 11,000 a day. So
what's the problem?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, really, we would expect the patronage to be, far beyond the forecast at the moment because of how appalling the A14 is with the roadworks and the congestion. So, I mean, part of the problem is clearly that the journey time is not comparable with driving. In fact, to go from Huntingdon to Cambridge is considerably slower than it was even going by bus before the busway was built, and it's far slower than driving.
So clearly, I mean, 11,000 people is no small amount. Lots of people are benefiting from the busway. What would you have done instead?
Well, let me just correct you. It's not 11,000 people, it's 11,000 trips. Most of those will be return journeys, so that will be 5,500 people. Well, I think the main thing to do is actually to run the buses express beyond the busway at the moment. As soon as it leaves at the St Ives end to get to Huntingdon, it winds through a number of housing estates and makes that journey much longer than it needs to be. So I think if it ran express from the city all the way to Huntingdon, I think that would actually pick up a lot more patronage.
Is there not a bigger problem here that actually lots of people just do not want to use a bus of any kind?
Well, I mean, that may be true, but the reality is that there are lots of cities in the world where there are excellent bus services and they are well used. I think part of the problem is that we just don't have a service level agreement for buses. So people just can't rely on them. If a bus is cancelled, there's no compensation. There's no, they're not, they can't claim a taxi fare for it. And there's lots of people who have described being stranded somewhere because a bus has been cancelled. And then there's the cost of continuing your journey if you have to change to another bus, and that means you either have to buy a day rider. If you want to use another operator's service, then you've got to pay for another ticket. So there's all that complexity and additional cost that puts people off. So
what would you like to see happen going forward?
Well, I think we need to be aiming towards a franchised network where the whole lot is designed and integrated as a single system, as people are used to in London, where you just buy a ticket and then you use whatever buses you need to use to get to your destination without having to worry about the costs and timetables not sort of connecting up. So it needs to be a much more pain-free experience compared to what it is now.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Edward Leigh there, the leader of Cambridge Smarter Transport. In a statement, the County Council says there have been more than 23.7 million passengers since the busway opened in August 2011, and the number of people using it has gone up 8.7% over the last year. It describes the busway as a reliable public transport alternative to the A14, but says the initial forecast figures were based on the busway opening in 2006 and took into account Northstowe and other housing developments being completed.